Hey guys, welcome to Box Office Addict, my weekly live stream podcast where I look at the weekend numbers, but I also just answer questions in the chat and just kind of have a free form movie discussion or a discussion about life, because why the hell not? So, how was your weekends, everybody? Your weekends, yeah. Your multiple weekends. How was your weekend? My weekend was fun. The highlight of my Sunday nights. Aw, that warms my little heart. That warms my heart so much. When's the wedding? On Christmas. Yes, of course, Bathory and Fallen Angel will be getting married soon. I will be the minister at the wedding because I've become an online ordained minister. And we're going to make sure that everyone has to be in cosplay for the wedding. That's a very particular thing. And you have to be in very specific cosplay at that. You cannot be in an anime character costume that takes place between 1993 and 2001. That was something Bathory wanted. I don't know why, but she's the bride. Or the groom, depending on what outfit she decides on wearing. Why do some people have blue names and wrenches? Because they are moderators, and moderators get to mute people like you, because they make sure the chat doesn't get out of hand. But we don't really mute people here. It's just in case anyone comes in and starts being a jerk to you guys, and then the mod's there to mute them, so you guys are good. I tried to get you booked on World Class Bullshitters. Thank you, Crazy Chameleon. I appreciate that. Thank you. So, let me talk about my weekend a little bit. Would you guys like to hear about that? Of course you do. Anyway, so Saturday, which was yesterday, I went with my girlfriend out to her parents' house in the country. And guess what we did? We went and shot guns. That's right. Pat went out and was a man. I was a manly man. I shot a 9mm and a .22 rifle, and a .22 out of a handgun. Now, I liked the feel of it because there was nothing really, there was no kickback or anything like that. It was pretty sweet. I mean, I was doing like one-handed stuff. And honestly, I hadn't shot a gun in a while. Now, I'm pro-gun, as you guys know if you follow this channel, but I don't really go shooting that much. I'm not a guy who likes to go to the shooting range that often, and it's mostly has a lot to do with it's just not a hobby of mine. I've been spending the majority of my week playing Friday the 13th on Xbox Live. Turn to top chat to live chat. What, can you guys not swear again? Is that going on again? I mean, it's best if you don't swear too much, because that does get all these demonetized and does hurt the algorithm. If you can say something without swearing, that would be better for me and all of you. And also, you don't need to rely on swear words. I own a few guns. We did shoot a rifle. We did shoot a rifle yesterday. We shot 2 handguns and a rifle. That's what we did. We did it. So I did that, and that was fun. I had a fun time. We went out and shot a target on a tree, and had a good time. And my girlfriend's really good at shooting. She's actually very good at it. I haven't shot a gun since I was younger. I mean, not since I was like a little kid, but since I was a teenager. But it was pretty cool. I had a fun time with that. I've been reading Steve Martin's book, The Pleasure of My Company, which I thought was a non-fiction book, but it's actually a fiction book because I liked his other book, Born Standing Up. Terrific book, though. I'd highly recommend it. I've heard rifles are easy to use. I mean, I didn't have any difficulty using it. It worked pretty well, but I'm not sure. No, I shot a semi-automatic. Oh, my mistake. I'm not very knowledgeable with guns. That's cool. It's no big deal. I don't know that much about them either, but you know, but she just wanted to go out and do that. She wanted to ride a 4-wheeler. It was very country-like, you know. She grew up in the country. I grew up in the city in Texas, so it was a little bit foreign to me, some of it. But, you know, I'd done that stuff before. So we went out to spend time together. But I was, in between that, I was reading this book, which is great. It's this guy that's in an apartment building that's obsessed with math and trying to get in Mensa and falling in love with these women that he doesn't even know. And it's really good. And it was really fun. I only shoot Nerf guns. That's awesome. I think we've all done that. But it's a really great fiction book. Steve Martin's a really good writer. If you're a fan of L.A. Story, which was a film he wrote and directed, or Roxanne, then you'll have a good time with that. So I did that, and then I had the strangest dream last night. Might have been the best dream of my life, though. So I'll go into that a little bit. This dream that was effing crazy. And part of what happened was yesterday I've been trying to gain some weight again because I've been losing some weight. I've been down to 165. And there was a point that I was at a weight I really liked, which was 178. And I've just been losing a lot of weight as time goes on. I've only seen the first channel, I mean the first season of Legion, and I really liked it, although I thought it had a lot of faults at the same time. I haven't watched the second season yet. I am a fan of Dan Stevens, and the guy who created that show, who's also the guy who created the Fargo television series. So, I've been trying to gain weight again, which means you have to eat a lot. You have to try to eat 5-6 meals a day, which is very tough. I'm someone who loses weight very easily. I don't gain weight very well. I have a fast metabolism. So I was just eating like a pig yesterday. I ate a massive burrito, and then we went to this restaurant that had a salad bar and food, and I had to eat so much. It was absolutely ridiculous. I ate 3 salads, then I ate a French dip sandwich, then I had 2 bowls of soup, and I mean, this was all in one sitting as well. And so I was very bloated. It was a rough day. It was very rough. I have not seen Isle of Dogs yet. The bloating was absolutely awful. So it was brutal. Like, my stomach hurt so bad. So I came home and I was laying down, and I fell asleep really early. I fell asleep at like 9, and I woke up at like 2 in the morning, like, oh my god, what's happened? And I felt crappy because I wanted to get on last night and play Friday the 13th, because I've legit been addicted to that game. I played it on Steam before, but I recently bought the Xbox version of it, the Xbox One. And I've been out, I've just been playing it like crazy every night. I mean, and I've been making a lot of cool friends. Little kids ruin that game like they do all online games, so it's made me just yell at little kids this week, which makes me feel like an a-hole. I don't like yelling at children, but it drives me nuts. You can't win friends with salad. I didn't know that. Thank you for informing that. It's very important. So these kids all week, they're little jerks. They're such a-hole Jasons. But eventually, when you get on at night, like after midnight, you start meeting other people in their 20s, and then you have a really fun night. So my Friday night playing that game was awesome. A lot of cool people on. We were just messing around in the cabin. I do commentary while I'm being chased by Jason. I've got the Jason to stop killing me at least 6 times. So far, just because of comedy, just because I make jokes, as if I'm the black character, I try to use Black Lives Matter to my advantage. Well, I don't mind kids. I actually like kids. I do. That sounded phrasing. I don't mind children. I'm not saying I like kids, but I don't mind children. Children don't bother me. But they get on those damn games and they start saying the N-word. They try to talk trash, and it's awful and cringe. And they just ruin the game. And then whenever Jason shows up, they start screaming. Like, oh, it's Jason! It's like, dude, it's a video game. And then when they play Jason, they act like little jerks. It's like, okay, you can't be a top-tier Jason and then be a shit-tier counselor when I need your help in filling the gas tank up. So it just became ridiculous. So there was a lot of yelling at children this week, and it was very... And they just want to watch the kill scenes. That's all it is. They don't want to actually play the game. Because if you've played that game, you have to work together as the counselors. You have to help each other to get the car or get the boat or escape. Eventually, though, I did meet some cool people. A lot of cool people. One guy named Chad, and his name was Chad, and he played as Chad. We had an awesome time. So, on Friday on 420, I was playing with a bunch of guys who were smoking. No, I have not seen Isle of Dogs yet, but I plan on seeing it very soon. It did just come to my theater. Hey, I hear you. It's grating on the... It is, because you just want to play the game and enjoy it, and these kids are just trying to be... I mean, I had a potty mouth when I was a kid, too, but my friend would come over and we'd play PS2 together, and we wouldn't be online. Like, we'd come over and play PS2 and rent movies from Blockbuster, and we'd watch them on my PS2. But when they get online, they talk that 12-year-old retard speak, and it's so cringe. It's awful. You want to mute all of them. And the 12-year-olds are so bad. Yeah, no, his name was Chad. It's amazing. He was the living meme. But the Friday night, all these people were getting high on it, and I was just sitting there playing with them. And I was quoted. I said on Twitter this week. I said children on Xbox Live are worse than Hitler, and I do mean that. They are worse than Hitler. You know, at least Hitler had charisma. You know, at least he could talk pretty well. You know, he could spin a tale. Hitler on Xbox Live. He's playing as Jason. Yeah. So, That night was great. We were all just hanging out in a cabin. Jason was being cool. It was the 8-bit NES Jason, and that was fun. So I highly recommend the game if you haven't played it yet. It's been out for a while, but it's an awesome little multiplayer. If they could add more maps and fix the buggy stuff in the game, it's a little janky. It was an independent studio that made it, that raised the money on Kickstarter. But if you work on that, if they worked on that and added a few maps and new skins, that game could run for 5 to 8 years. That could be a really popular multiplayer. And it's awesome. Fantastic Mr. Fox. Saw it in the theater. Really entertaining movie. A little dry, but that doesn't mean it's bad. It's just a little dry for me compared to other Wes Anderson movies. I find some of his other films to have more emotion, or at least emotional substance and depth. That film is very quirky and funny, and does have those emotional scenes, but something with the stop motion kind of created this weird disconnect. But I did really like it in the theater. I've seen it on TV several times. My nephews really like it. So I really like Fantastic Mr. Fox. Some of my friends don't like it, and I know some other people who don't like it. I know, like, Ralph the Movie Maker said he didn't like it, but I think it's a good movie. I think it's a very funny movie. I think the animation, it reminds me too much of Chicken Run. That was my issue with it. It was very similar to Chicken Run, and I don't think it's as good as Chicken Run, which is a movie I adore. Chicken Run's one of my favorite animated films, but, you know, it's not my favorite Wes Anderson movie. That would be Royal Tenenbaums, then Rushmore. God, it's hard to go after those two, because Royal Tenenbaums is always going to be my favorite. I saw that in the theater, too. I saw that in the theater twice, actually, when I was 11. And I fell in love with it. The John Irving-esque writing to that movie. Those are the top two for me. Then I'd probably go something like, Moonrise Kingdom, Bottle Rocket, Life Aquatic, Grand Budapest, Fantastic Mr. Fox. I like every Wes Anderson movie. I haven't disliked any of his movies yet. There isn't one that I've really... Limited's not my favorite, but it's still a decent movie, and Life Aquatic really grew on me over the years, so I'm excited for Isle of Dogs, and I can't wait to do a review of it, for sure. Yeah, none of these kids watch the Jason movies, too. That's what sucks. They don't know anything about it, and it's kind of, like, lame, you know. I like that about Fantastic Mr. Fox as well. Very good movie. Very good. I haven't seen it in a while, but I saw it several times. I remember it very vividly. Wonderful looking film, though. Wes Anderson's a really good animation director. So that was pretty much my weekend, but let me get into this dream I had that was effing nuts, and it was possibly the best dream I've ever had. In fact, I think I can just safely say it was the best dream I've ever had. I haven't had sex dreams as good as this dream, because this dream was like... I'm hoping it's a premonition. So if some of you don't know, my favorite TV show of all time is The Wonder Years, and I plan on doing a podcast about that show sometime where I review every episode. So I'm a big Fred Savage fan, who was Kevin Arnold on that show. And I'm also a big fan of Red Letter Media, as is every movie channel, or pretty much everyone who comes on YouTube. So I'm sleeping last night, and I slept like a rock, because I only got an hour of sleep the night before, and then we had to go drive out to our parents' house, which was a pretty far drive. So I'm going on like an hour of sleep and just trying to live off caffeine. So I slept like 9 hours last night, 9 or 10 hours. It was pretty bad. I had a long, long, deep sleep. Also, I was sore from working out. I ate a lot of food, so I had a food coma. It was just a mix of things. Oh, The Wonder Years is terrific. So the dream I had... now, this is like all dreams. It's very surreal, so not everything made sense. In fact, a lot of it didn't make sense, but it was entertaining, trying to put the pieces together in my head, trying to remember the dream. So the dream I was having was that I was working with Red Letter Media, and we were all meeting at this McDonald's where Mike had a girlfriend who worked at this McDonald's. Now, I don't believe that Mike has a girlfriend that works at McDonald's in real life, but for the sake of this, let's just say he did. So we kept meeting at a McDonald's to discuss making videos, because Rich, Jay, and Mike had hired me to work at Red Letter Media, and I was helping them produce videos. So we were working on these series of videos, and coincidentally, Fred Savage was getting work on a sitcom, and he was hanging out with us at this McDonald's, and he had also hired me to work with him. So I was working between Red Letter Media and with Fred Savage on the sitcom. It was a dream come true. Not only was this a McDonald's, it was a huge McDonald's that had, like, Disney-esque theme park rides outside of it, which made it even better. So Mike had a girlfriend there that was like a McDonald's waitress. She wasn't just some chick who worked at McDonald's. She would come and you would order food at this McDonald's. It was a classy 5-star McDonald's experience. And the best thing about this dream was that Mike was being a total douche to me. He was a jerk. He hated me. He hated that I worked there. He was mean to me every day. And this was a dream that felt like it was 2 to 3 hours long. This wasn't one of those dreams that felt like 10 minutes and I woke up. I was asleep a long time and the dream lasted. It was a long dream. Unfortunately, the dream never turned sexual, which was the biggest disappointment. Rich Evans never did anything to me that I was hoping would happen. But Rich and Jay were being really nice to me. And the coolest thing about this dream is that we made the videos, and then I was watching them in my dream. I was watching Red Letter Media videos I made with them on a computer in the dreamscape. I was enjoying videos I had worked on. And these were videos that do not exist. And we were watching them and meeting at this McDonald's where Mike was treating his waitress girlfriend like shit. And me as well. He just absolutely hated me. Which was exactly right. That's how it should be. Mike shouldn't be a nice guy in this scenario. And then I'm watching this Fred Savage sitcom that I'm working on television that isn't real. I can't even remember the name of it, but I had worked on it. So I'm watching this television show. Oh, who wouldn't want Rich Evans to give you sexy time? I mean, come on, people. If Fred Savage would have gotten in the mix there, it would have been like That's Always Sunny promotional thing where Fred Savage is eating the pizza and he's like, I'm just here to watch. That's what I was hoping would happen. So the dream was like long, and then Mike just got more and more angry at me, and I think there was a point he like smacked his McDonald's waitress girlfriend, which was amazing. And it felt like a vacation, like we were in Florida. This McDonald's felt like it was some Florida vacation spot, which made it really cool, the atmosphere of the dream. But then there was at least 2 videos I worked on with Red Letter Media that we had watched, and Rich really liked me. Rich Evans really liked me, and Jay wasn't in the dream that much. He was in it, but he didn't talk very much. And Fred Savage, me and him would like go to coffee shops and stuff. Oh, that laugh is totally orgasmic. It's the best laugh I've ever heard. There's nobody I'd rather watch movies with than Rich Evans just to hear him laugh. It's genuinely beautiful. And Fred Savage was like the coolest, nicest guy in the world. So we're drinking our coffee, coming up with show's idea. Then I come up with the idea to mix Red Letter Media with Fred Savage. And Rich Evans had said once he didn't like Fred Savage. And Jay and Mike were like, what? You don't like Fred Savage? So I got Rich to work with Fred Savage, someone he didn't like. And they ended up being really good buddies. So we made a Red Letter Media video with Fred fucking Savage. And I can't tell you how happy this made me. I don't even remember what the video was. I can't remember the specifics of the dream. I just remember the outline. But there was Fred Savage was in a video with Red Letter Media that I had worked on. And I'd brought these worlds together. And it was beautiful. And Mike was starting to like me. I was growing on him. He really liked how I had this connection to Fred Savage. And I just mainly remember being at this McDonald's a lot, sitting there with them talking about video ideas and talking to Fred Savage. And then somehow the dream, through its warped reality and its phantasmagorical, but they were impressed with my business acumen. It seemed like I was really winning them over. Which was awesome. Yeah, I hope this happens in real life too. I hope this was just me seeing the future. I would not be happier with anything in life that if I worked with those guys and Fred Savage together, I could die. That's nirvana to me. So Mike was impressed with my business acumen, and Fred Savage. Then somehow, though, in this dream, I ended up in like some college campus-like setting, and Fred Savage was wearing a bandana. And it just got really weird, and the dream started to get weirder, and it started to be a mix of, like, different things in my life from my childhood or different places I had been, mixed together with what was going on in the current dream. But it was the first time I had a dream in a long time that was, like, really... Most of the dreams I have are the same dream in different forms. But one I always had was me being in a movie theater, watching movies that don't exist. Like an Avengers film that doesn't exist, or a Spider-Man film that doesn't exist, or watching like an old retro movie in this big movie theater. I've had many dreams of that, and I've had a lot of dreams where I'm in like a mall or I'm in a school or something like that with people throughout my life. That's what most of my dreams are. This was the first time I had like a lot of celebrities in my dreams or people that I admire. And the cool thing about it is that their personalities were pretty right. Like, they were acting like themselves. Like, they sounded and looked and acted like themselves. I don't know how Fred Savage and Red Letter Media got mixed together in my brain, because I wasn't even thinking about that yesterday. But that's what the dream was. It was better than any acid trip I could possibly have. Even when Mike was being a jerk to me, it was absolutely beautiful. So I must say, awesome dream, 10 out of 10. And that really made my weekend. I didn't want to wake up. Who would want to wake up from that? I just want to stay in that reality forever. So it was beautiful. Steve Martin book, shooting guns, playing Friday the 13th, all that. I had a good week. I had a good week, people. Thank you. Now, welcome to Blood Rewind. This is gonna be like internet blood sports. I'm gonna get Fallen Angel in here sometime and just be a bully to him over and over again, while all of you laugh at him, because that's where we do this. So this is a different kind of box office addict than typical. We're gonna look at a movie. Then I'm going to come back, and I'm going to do little segments and talk about things from the movie and stuff like that. I got to be honest, I can't relate. I once had a dream where I was licking in a very specific YouTube clip. Are you excited for Infinity War? Yes, I am. I am excited for Infinity War. Thank you for asking. So first, let's look at Wes Anderson's Isle of Dogs, since people are asking about that. 3.4 million this weekend. Not doing great. It's past Fantastic Mr. Fox's 21 million domestic take, but it hasn't reached the 46 million. I believe this film cost 35 to 40 million, so it hasn't broke even yet. Stop motion does not do well. Kubo and the Two Strings didn't do well. Outside of some Henry Selick films, like Coraline did well, typically stop motion is just a dead art form, at least in financially. So this film's not doing great. I don't think it's released everywhere yet. But domestically, I can't see this making much more than 30 million, which is a disappointment considering Wes Anderson's last couple films actually did really well. Grand Budapest made 59 million, and Moonrise Kingdom made 45 million. So unfortunately, even though Wes Anderson is at kind of the peak of his popularity, even critically and financially, this film should get a Best Animated Oscar nom. I'm assuming it'll get one. I'd be shocked if it didn't. So, you know, he's going to get another Oscar nomination from this. I think it'll be his 7th. But at the end of the day, it's not going to make a lot of money for Fox Searchlight. And that's unfortunate, because I wish other types of animated films would do well in America outside of 3D animation. It's always that 2D animation's dead, stop motion doesn't do well. And that's really unfortunate, because I'm a fan of other art forms. Because I'm a big animation buff in general. And unfortunately in America, it just people only want the one type. And it's a little bit heartbreaking. It really is. So that movie's doing, I would say it's doing okay, but I gotta say it's kind of a disappointment. That's really not doing that well. I hate to be that way. Traffic, with a K, 3.8 million. Starring Halle Berry? Is that Halle Berry? No, my bad. I thought that was her, but that isn't her. Is that Rosalind Sanchez? Oh no, that's Paula Patton. That's right. That's the chick from Mission Impossible. Yes, okay, yeah. She's really good looking. I know, and she was in Precious as well. So 3.8 million, 1,000 theaters. That's a pretty bad opening weekend. So the big news, though, is that Quiet Place was able to get back #1 spot. And a couple movies opened above expectations. And Rampage, which looked like it was going to drop even bigger into the weekend, once again, with a larger Saturday and Sunday than expected, actually pulled through. So that's good. So I'm going to cut to this video from my good buddy Fraser Danger, which is titled The Problem with YouTube. Now, I'm not going to play this video in its entirety, but I'm going to give you guys little tidbits of it, little snippets of it throughout the episode. Because there's going to be some structure to this episode. I have a plan for a few things before we get to I Feel Pretty and the other films like that. But I like a lot of what Fraser says here. This is an example of some of his content, even though most of his content is him standing in front of a green screen, playing VR games, and doing as much of a cringe compilation as possible. I think Fraser's a very charismatic guy. I think he's got a Spicoli-like charm to him. Maybe a little Mitch Hedberg, I would say, kind of in his way of speaking. But I always ask you guys to go subscribe to his stuff, so I'll play this video a little bit. Also, Cult Film Video, who has made tons of videos. I will be on his channel doing Cinema Scrubs, or I think that's what it's called, Film Scrubs, which is, we're going to be debating movies. We're going to have our own version of movie fights. We're also going to do Fantasy Movie League, where we pick out different directors, actors, writers, and make, like fantasy football or baseball, and make our dream team and argue that stuff and see how it plays out over the years. So there's going to be one that's a version of movie fights, and then another version that is kind of like fantasy football. So Cult Film Video on YouTube, he is also selling that Ghostbuster shirt with the Paul Feig head. It's still available right now, although I think it actually became unavailable yesterday, but I could be wrong. I put the link up to that a couple weeks ago. I did lose the link right now. It's on Teespring, but go to Teespring and look up Black Bart, I believe is his name. I'll try to put a link in the description on this video before I forget. So if you want that shirt with the ghost from Ghostbusters holding up the head of Paul Feig that says "Fans Never Forget," I'll put the link in the description. It's on Teespring. Please support Cult Film Video. I will be doing content with him in the near future. He's a really funny guy. Maybe we'll look at one of his videos here. He's on my recommended channels on my main page, and he's a really awesome, fun dude. And I enjoy stuff. And we're going to try to make a Please Rewind version of that shirt, the Ghostbuster shirt, where Pat with the beanie, the ghost with the beanie, will be holding it. And also, we are trying to make the Please Rewind beanie a real thing, and I would love for all of you to wear the Please Rewind beanie. My plan in the future is to go to some cons and festival events wearing the Please Rewind beanie and the Please Rewind shirt that has my name tag, Pat, on it. And I will go in character as Pat to these events for promotional reasons, and possibly even upload videos. I'm also going to be doing live stream commentaries on movies that I like or maybe dislike for your entertainment. I might start live streaming video games, in particular me playing Friday the 13th. And outside of that, the podcast Real Discussions with Blood Money, which I've been promising for 2 months now, is going to come at some point whenever me and Blood Money can never figure the schedule out, but we're both very, very busy. I'm sorry I only put one video up this week. It was my Pacific Rim 2 review, which got a copyright claim, which happened to my other friend who did a Pacific Rim video, and there's nothing I can do about it. I disputed it, and they didn't care. So they're getting the ad revenue, but they didn't put a copyright strike on me, so that's cool. So merchandise is coming. That shirt's still out there. Cult Film Video still out there. And I'll be doing content with him. So if you want to see me on a movie fights scenario with that, and the stuff with Blood Money should come eventually. Blood Money was supposed to be here today, but he isn't here yet, so I guess F him. Anyway, here is Fraser Danger and his video on YouTube.
Okay. So look, I got a YouTube strike the other day. YouTube content strike. Well, big deal. Big deal. YouTube is not my job. As a joke the other day, YouTube's not my job. I don't have to worry about what happens to me on YouTube. I have no need for it. I have no need for it. But I don't like it. I don't like it because I'm trying to produce content that's interesting and edgy and things that people are actually going to enjoy. And what people enjoy is not the same censored nonsense we've been seeing for years on fucking cable television. It's not. People are not interested in that. People will never again be interested in that sort of content. And there will be a throwback someday, possibly, to cable television, in which case it'll become retro, but it will never be the same. It's not as if people are going to be sitting there and being like, I can't wait to fucking watch this advertisement, unless the advertisement's something that was goofy. It's not going to happen. YouTube. You're making mistakes left and right. You've got to chill out on this shit like that. Not that I care. I really don't. YouTube needs to go down. Content platforms like BitChute, where my video, Joe Bros, the magic of Joe Bros, Joe Busters, is still available and has received more views than it did on YouTube to start with. Yeah, this whole fucking little episode got me more views on BitChute for this video than fucking YouTube did. Why is that? YouTube is a platform with millions of people. Why was my content not pushed so people could see it? It makes no sense. No, they're not pushing my content just like they're not pushing thousands of other creators who are doing good work, because it's not cut and dry, you can't swear and all this crap, and they can't make money off of it. So they're not producing it, they're not posting anymore.
I would suggest to Fraser, who doesn't typically do content like this, to do more content like this, because I think this is better than a lot of your video game work and stuff like that. When you're just talking to the camera, like that, I think it's really good. So I like that. We'll go back to that video a little bit throughout the episode. But thank you for indulging me in that, actually. All right, let's get back to the box office. We're going one at a time here. So, Black Panther, 4.6 million, 19% drop. The film is doing really well, 681 million. It has now passed Star Wars: The Last Jedi at the box office, 1,323 million. That film made 1,318 million. It's also passed it domestically. Where it's at right now, the film should be able to break 700 million. This has also passed The Avengers to become Marvel's most successful film domestically, not worldwide. Infinity War is coming. I don't know if Infinity War can reach this total. I really don't think Infinity War is going to make 700 million domestic. It doesn't have to. It can make 600 million, but this is just insane. This is like Avatar or something. But Infinity War should make more at the international box office. The Avengers films consistently do over 800 million. So I'm assuming Infinity War will make at least $1 billion internationally and then 600. So it should make 1.6, 1.7 billion. So it should be able to pass this movie worldwide. But I wouldn't assume the domestic total. Black Panther had a beast domestic run. I'm very mixed on this film. I wish I loved this movie. I have a review up for it. I wish I liked it more. But this film held really well. It never had a drop over like 44%. And if you just see here, it's been holding. Even last weekend, it made 5 million. This weekend, it's 4.6. So Black Panther from Disney is a huge moneymaker. They're easily going to make over $500 million in profit on this. Blockers, starring John Cena. About him and his wife trying to keep the daughters from going through on a virginity pact on prom night. Leslie Mann, Judd Apatow's wife, and the Gibiani guy from the league. $21 million budget, $20 million opening weekend, $48 million domestic, $67 million worldwide. Now, this film should be able to break $100 million if it stays where it's going, but that domestic total is disappointing. The film has been dropping. I don't see it doing. It might be able to reach 60 million, but overall the film wasn't that big of a hit, and I think they expected it to kind of be a breakout hit. Luckily, they didn't spend too much money on it. I don't know what the marketing campaign is for that film, so we'll have to wait and see on that. Now, Ready Player One from Steven Spielberg and Warner Brothers had a pretty big drop last weekend, near 50%. This weekend, much smaller drop, 34.9%, 7.5 million, 126 million. So it is locked for 130. I was thinking this could reach 150 million. I'm not quite sure if it'll get there, but it could. But it'll definitely get to about 140 something. It might end up at 143, 145. But the big news is the worldwide number, the international box office, with a $395 million foreign total. The film has broke the $500 million mark. It's at $521 million. This is the first Spielberg film to do this since Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, oh so long ago. Which made $786 million worldwide. That was a really big hit. But this film has a $175 million budget. It has a big promotional budget. They had to have broke even with $500 million. I would say the break-even point was probably like 480, but now with $521 million, the studios no doubt broke even with that $175 million budget. The domestic total is disappointing with a budget like that. They probably wanted a $200 million domestic gross, or even 175 to 190, which would have, helped with the budget. But because of a huge international, especially in Asian markets, this film's been able to get over 500 million. There was one point it looked like this film would make $650 million worldwide, or even 700 million. I don't think that's the case anymore. It seems to be dropping a lot faster than it was a couple weeks ago. But still, if this film can reach 600 million, I would call it a success, at least financially. It didn't get the most rave reviews, but it's a Steven Spielberg movie that's still, out of a guy who's made, $9 billion at the box office. I think this put him over 10 billion, though. He should be, yes, it did. So Steven Spielberg, his entire total worldwide as a filmmaker is now $10 billion, which keeps him at number one as the most successful director of all time. And oddly enough, this is his, sixth most successful film. Now, that's not adjusted for ticket price, obviously. Some of his other films just domestically made $1 billion, like E.T. But Yeah, so right there. So this is a very successful film. If it can pass War of the Worlds, I think that would be pretty good for it. I don't know if it can reach that Lost World $618 million total, which, this is weird. I was thinking about the concept of the Spielberg fourth act that was really detrimental to a lot of his films, like Saving Private Ryan or Munich, Minority Report. Films that are really great until they get to the fourth act. But I thought about The Lost World, how that has a good fourth act. That the fourth act to that film is actually like the best part of the movie. That movie's so mediocre and kind of boring and disappointing. And then the last 15-20 minutes when the T-Rex invades New York, and Jeff Goldblum and Julianne Moore try to get it, and it hits the bus. There's a sense of awe to it. I remember seeing that in the theater. It's like something we never saw before. It's stupid, but it's like a big, dumb B movie, and it's perfect. Seeing a T-Rex like at the house with the kid and it eats the dog, and then seeing it go by the bus. Seeing a T-Rex in the city just looked amazing. The special effect was amazing. That last sequence, that added on thing that Spielberg did in his 90s and 2000s work, exceeds there. The biggest movie that suffers from him adding on something, which I know was originally thought up by Stanley Kubrick, is the ending to AI, artificial intelligence. AI, if it had ended with the main character finding the blue fairy, with his teddy bear, which is one of the best special effects I've ever seen. If the movie would have ended there, with him going to the bottom of the ocean and then being frozen and dying, basically, being stuck there, I think the reputation of AI would be a lot better. But because it has that terrible fourth act with the alien showing up and David getting another day. Because the way I see the film, at least what the theme was the kid searching for God. He's searching for meaning. And he gets to the end of the story, and he finds out that there is no God, that it was just a story everybody told him. He finds out that God doesn't exist, there is no meaning to life, and he was, and then he gets to the end, and it would be depressing, but it would be real, it would be haunting, because it's a story that was just made up kind of like God and Christian texts. So he's sitting there, and he looks, and then he dies. And I think people would be much more positive film, but because it has that alien ending, which apparently Stanley Kubrick came up with, it's one of the most detrimental. Minority Report also suffers from its fourth act. If that film just ended with Tom Cruise pointing the gun at the guy and deciding, I'm not going to kill you, I'm going to arrest you, this guy who killed my kids, and took him in, and that ended the precog system, that movie would be freaking perfect. That would be a masterpiece. But unfortunately, the movie has this, like, plot twist fourth act that's ridiculous, even though I know some people say he's still in the dreamscape and all that. But, yeah, I think there's a perfect, emotional, beautiful ending where Tom Cruise points the gun at the guy. At the time, he thinks is the guy who took his son, even though that's not true, you find out later. And he's just like, I'm going to arrest you. He's crying. It's a beautiful scene. And that should have been the end of the movie. And that would have shut down the system. It would have showed it's flawed. It would have showed that humanity can overcome predestined things, that it could overcome our vices, because it's this guy who should kill this guy. He has every reason to do this, but he doesn't do it through empathy and changing. And that would show that even though technology is taking over the world and sci-fi premises, that humanity can still overcome those things. Instead, we get a plot twist that it was his old friend that set up everything, and it tries to be this Hitchcockian thriller at the end, and Tom Cruise and his wife and everyone team up to take the guy out, and it's still fun. It's still an entertaining movie, but if it would have just ended at that point, that film would be great. I don't like the added-on ending to Munich where Eric Bana is banging his wife while he's thinking back to the guys getting shot. It's ridiculous. That could have been a great movie, too. I really like Munich. So this weird thing with Spielberg, me and Blood Money talked about this. He just adds these endings now to his movies. He did it with Saving Private Ryan. He just adds crap at the end that's really useless to a almost perfect movie. He just can't help himself. He pushes it too far, and it's not always being too sentimental. It's just trying to add something that's unnecessary to the story he's telling. Although I don't think that's necessarily in Ready Player One. I think Ready Player One is too long, but it doesn't really have this extra thing at the end. Even The Post kind of has that at the very end, which was very cringy. Let's see where The Post is at worldwide. That movie's still at 174 million. All right. But anyway, Ready Player One, successful. Truth or Dare, which had a decent opening weekend of 19 million, 7.9 million, 57% drop, pretty steep. This is from Universal Blumhouse. $30 million on a $3.5 million budget, so no doubt the film will make a profit. This isn't doing as well as some other Blumhouse films, and apparently this film is really terrible. So that's unfortunate, and that's thing. All right, let's go back to Frasier's video for a little bit, and then we'll get back to the main show.
You make money off of your content producers, all right? That's what you make money on. You're not going to be a cable enterprise. You want the FCC to step in and fuck you up because that's what they'll do. And then they'll be restricting you, and you'll be the old guard, and you'll get usurped every time. You will get usurped every time by the new man in town. Sorry, you can't send.
There's a new kid in town. That's what that Eagle song's all about, baby. It's a new kid in town.
Censor bit chain, blockchain. You can't do it. Not gonna happen. You can't control what's going to be hot and fresh and new. All you're doing is stifling creativity. And you're gonna make your platform boring as shit. It already is. It already is. You know what the big thing on YouTube right now is? Is blood sports. Guess what? Guess what? That's end game. These people are devouring themselves. Your content creators are devouring themselves right now. People are losing fans. They shut down their channels. Look at the Baked Alaska thing. The guy's gone, basically. And there's no way for him to come back from that. It'll be just like fucking Kraut. It's not happening.
That's not me, Noel. That's Frasier Danger. It even says down there, Frasier Danger speaks. You don't throw that out there, Noel. That's not me. And my face has been revealed many times.
It's not happening. Don't pretend it's going to happen. It's not. It's not gonna happen. It's not. Sorry. You know what? Get fucking real. Stop pretending like content needs to be this old fucking nasty baked up shit that you came up with fucking 8 years ago because you want to pretend like you know the world's the same as it was back then. This isn't the 90s. It's not the early 2000s. The FCC has no fucking control over us. You can't stop us. We live in a country with free speech. Stop pretending like you need to fucking suckle up to the EU's tit. They're not where the future is.
He's so pissed. I love it. It's absolutely wonderful. I have no complaints. That video is very funny. Stop trying to suck on the EU's tit. Super Troopers 2 from Broken Lizard. This film exceeded all expectations and the tracking. People were saying this film was going to open to $3 to $5 million. The original Super Troopers only made $23 million, and all their other films bombed outside of the Dukes of Hazzard film they worked on, which was an awful movie. Club Dread didn't do well. Beer Fest, which is a movie I think is actually pretty funny, that didn't do well. But Super Troopers has got a huge cult following. It was hard to track this movie. Nobody knew how well it was going to open. Now, I've read the budget was $5 million. They raised $4.6 million on Kickstarter. I don't know where Box Office Mojo's getting that 13.5. Every other source, including Deadline, Hollywood, has said $5 million. So I don't know where they got the $13.5 million budget from. No other sources reporting that that's the budget. I don't know if that's including marketing or something like that. I don't know where they got that from, but everywhere else it said $5 million. So I wouldn't take that 13 because that makes this opening weekend seem less impressive. This is a damn good opening weekend for a movie that's a sequel to a film that came out like what, almost 20 years ago? It's absolutely insane. I've never really been a big Broken Lizard fan. I don't really like the first Super Troopers that much. I do like Beer Fest, though. I think Beer Fest is genuinely a funny movie. The Dukes of Hazzard is one of the worst films I saw in the theater in my entire life. That film was absolutely terrible. Club Dread, I hate. That film only made $5 million, so that was a bomb. And the original Super Troopers made $18 million domestic, $23 million worldwide. Now, it did have a $3 million budget, and it did very well on video. But they tried to get the sequel made for years. And they could never get it made. They had to do a Kickstarter to get the money raised. And it's paid off for them, man. $14.7 million opening weekend. I mean, that's not bad. Now, it's going to have a huge drop next weekend. There's no doubt about that. And overall, its domestic total, I imagine, won't be much larger than $30 million. Apparently, Super Troopers 2 was funded entirely... Yeah, it was. It was done by crowdfunding. That's exactly true. So to the guys at Broken Lizard who have really kind of fallen off the map and all that, kudos to them. I had wanted Beer Fest too because it was going to be Pot Fest. And I still think Beer Fest is the best thing they ever made. I've watched it on Comedy Central many times. I still think that's the only time they really something worked out. But Anyway, yeah, kudos to them. Kudos to Fox for distributing this. Kudos to the people who crowdfunded this just for themselves as Super Troopers fans. For this to make that money. I don't know how fans are taking this movie. Of course, it's getting bad reviews, but that doesn't mean fans won't like it. And it opened on 420. But awesome. Awesome numbers. I love seeing stuff like this. I love seeing something really independent like this come out and surprise people. It shows that first film wasn't just forgotten, that there is a fan base out there. And with very little marketing, a little marketing push, they were able to get this opening weekend. This isn't bad. Like I said, it will drop, but when you consider home video sales, and this will probably end up on Netflix, there's no doubt this film will break even and make a profit down the road. So Super Troopers 2 is the big shock of the weekend. Nobody expected it to do as well as it did. I didn't predict it. Nobody else was. I was thinking it was going to open to 5-6 million. There was no way I thought it was going to open in the teens, which is crazy. And it's really good. A best bud of obvious intelligence, set Yuck Kernovik, whom I busted for buying viewers from Periscope. Okay. Did any of you guys see Super Troopers 2? I'm just wondering, are any of you a fan of Broken Lizard, and did you see this movie? I didn't go see it because I wasn't a big fan of the first film. I mean, I know some of the, I know the joke, meow, meow. I mean, a lot of those jokes became memes. But I don't know. Did anyone go see Super Troopers 2? I don't know. I have no idea. But yeah, it did shockingly well this weekend. I mean, that's a shocking opening weekend. So it's nice to get a surprise like that. It really is. So that's always fun. Okay, now we're getting to Amy Schumer's new film, I Feel Pretty, which opened below her last film with Goldie Hawn. I can't remember the name of that damn movie. Let me go back. Okay, why don't they have Amy Schumer's name here on the thing? What was that film called? Damn it, I can't remember the name of that movie. Can you guys tell me what that name of that movie was? Does anyone remember the name of that film that she was in with Goldie Hawn? What was the name of that film? Scraked? It wasn't Scraked. Oh, come on, someone in the chat help me. I don't want to have to Google this. Alright, you guys suck. Quit talking about Baked Alaska. I don't care. I don't care about Baked Alaska. It's irrelevant. What was the name of that movie? Anyway, her previous film, Snatched. Thank you. Thank you, somebody, for actually listening. Anyway, Snatched opened to 19 million. I'm just messing with you guys. That was directed by Jonathan Levine, who's a director I do like. I really like his film, The Whackness, and I like 50-50. Not a big Warm Bodies fan. And The Night Before is okay, but he did this film, The Whackness, from a few years ago that I really like. Anyway, this film had a $19 million opening weekend, and it made $60 million on a $42 million budget, so it didn't make much profit, and I doubt it even broke even. So this film opened even lower than that. It's been a lot of controversy. I guess SJWs have been attacking Amy Schumer for the I Feel Pretty, what it's about. I'm not really sure. I don't know much about the movie. Critics are just dogging on it. I know it's supposed to be a body positive message because Amy Schumer doesn't want to acknowledge that she's overweight and not as attractive as she thinks she is. Now, I'm not going to say Amy Schumer's totally ugly. If you actually go look at pictures of her when she was younger and first starting out stand-up, she was a cute chick. Especially for a stand-up comic, which is predominantly ugly people. But, she's not this hot sex symbol they're trying to make her out to be. They're trying to make that she's as sexy and as hot as anything. It's like, dude, you're a chick that I would turn down in my real life. I would turn her down. It's not like I would be totally like, oh, screw it. But I'd be like, you're not really my type. But as far as movies, movie celebrity goes, or like being beautiful, no. Just no. And then she was in that film, the Judd Apatow film, Trainwreck, which was a hit. Now, this was when she was at her most popular a few years ago, back in 2015, when she was at the top of the world as a comedian. The alt-right celebs are imploding. I guess Sargon was right. Moving on. Okay. Snatch, because Snatch sounds like a vagina, and vagina is funny. My vagina! But yeah, Amy Schumer, things always bothered me about her. It's just like, I'm going to be a drunken slut, I'm going to say this stuff, and it's okay and cool, and it's just really cheap comedy. It's grotesque comedy. It's lame. She's best friends with Jennifer Lawrence, who's a complete dumbass, a dimwit. and they try to push this body positive thing. They try to act like, and you know, like, once again, Amy Schumer, not a hideous woman, but average at best, you know, at best, and just assuming that she can become a sex symbol, which I think's really backfired. Not quite like Lena Dunham, who was just a disgusting looking person. But Trainwreck was Judd Apatow's film that actually did well. It was after Funny People and This Is 40 didn't do very well. $35 million budget. That film made $140 million worldwide, had a $30 million opening week. So this was a hit and made it look like Amy Schumer was going to become a movie star. And she had written the film. But after that, Snatch didn't do that great. And now this film opened even lower than that. She is a joke thief, yes. I don't know. Her one leather special was one of the worst comedy specials I've ever seen. And she has said she's going to stop doing stand-up because I'd give her a 5, but I can understand why you'd give her a 6. I would personally give her a 5. But she's, once again, I hate when some people just say that she's just, like, hideous. That she's just, like, completely ugly. And I don't really agree with that. I don't think she's hot either. But I don't think that she's, like, a horrible... And I'm not trying to focus on looks, but people always kind of go on this thing of that she's, like, the most ugly girl in the world. It's like, she's really not. Amy Schumer's not that unattractive. You're kind of exaggerating. But she's not funny. She's never been a good stand-up. People always say to me, I like her old stuff. And I'm like, I don't. I went back and watched her old stuff. I did a video on that once where I watched her stand-up on a live stream. And it's absolutely terrible. So I've never seen her say a funny joke ever. She's a 6 10 years ago. That's a fair point. Yeah, 10 years ago. I could take that. She used to be more cool. She lied about being conservative. I didn't like that. Like, she used to go on Fox News and other places and pretend that she was conservative. And she actually worked with Steven Crowder back in the day. And then once the politics changed and she was able to be like, oh, I'm a feminist. Oh, body positivity. Don't slut shame. And then she went down that road. So she's just someone who flip-flops depending on what's popular at the time. And I really hate that about her. She used to be on Opie and Anthony. Patrice O'Neal and them talked to her. I never found her funny. I never thought that... She said that joke one time about how she wished Steve-O was dead instead of Ryan Dunn at a roast one time. She's a shock humor person. I think Sarah Silverman's that way too, but at least Sarah Silverman, like, has charisma and has been involved with funny stuff, even though she's very cringe. Funny that body positivity is only for fat people and never people with actual physical deformities. Yeah, no one's ever like, let's be body positive for people with Down syndrome. I give her a 3 because I hate fatties with a passion, but her humor... See, I wouldn't call her that fat. I mean, I get what you mean, but I don't think she's that fat. She especially wasn't that overweight like a decade ago. She's gained a lot of weight recently, but I wouldn't say Amy Schumer's like a fat person. She's just kind of chubby, but for me personally, I don't think she's like fat. Oh, she's insane. Everything of her politics is stupid. Her perpetuation of feminism, or everything she says is ridiculous. She's never said anything I think's funny. I don't think Sarah Silverman's funny either. But Sarah Silverman, you know, got by on blowing every guy that she ever hung out with to further her career. Oh, Jimmy Kimmel. And just being a shock jock comedian, and honestly being attractive, that really helped save Sarah Silverman out. And I did like the Sarah Silverman program, although I think a lot of that was Dan Harmon. But I hate Amy Schumer's personality. I don't think she's a very good actress. Yeah, I'd say an average body. I don't know. God, we're being so bad here. We're talking about a woman's body. I hate being that way. Because I'm not that kind of guy. I don't like talking about, like, women's bodies or how they look. I find that stuff, like, really pointless discussion topic. Like, I find it pointless to talk about how women look and all that. Because I don't care. I mean, I care for myself, but I don't care in, like, a general conversation way. Average these days is terrible. Women are whales in general. Jesus, Sean. God, you guys are brutal. You guys are so brutal. Yeah, no, Opie and Anthony... Well, Anthony was great. Opie sucked. But when Patrice O'Neal, Bill Burr, and Jim Norton were all on there, it was great. Didn't Amy Schumer accuse 17-year-old for harassment? Yes, she did. She got mad that he made a joke about her on Twitter, and she made a big deal about it and said he was slut-shaming her. No, she's terrible. Don't get me wrong. I'm not a fan. Not a fan at all. I hate her comedy. I did not like Trainwreck. I didn't even see Snatched. I thought Trainwreck sucked. I don't know why it got good reviews. Women talk about men's bodies all the time, and I mean, I know they do. I'm just not big on that. Like, I'm in pretty good shape. and my girlfriend's in pretty decent shape. We're both like, we both work out a lot, and we both have, we both have a lot of muscle tone, and we work out together. We help each other with our squats and all that, and so I don't really care about the body thing. I'm pretty happy with my life, and I don't know, I don't like, it's going to sound really cringe. You guys are going to be, I don't like degrading people. I don't like talking about people's looks and all that. It's one reason I hate the political spectrum and identity politics, because I don't like defining people by how they look. I want to judge them by the merit of what they say and do. I don't like talking about women like, this chick's hot, bro. I think a lot of men do that, and it makes us come off more simplistic, and it kind of justifies some of the feminist criticism, at least the scholarly criticism about the male gaze, or about how men think and talk about women, which is fine. Biologically, we're driven by sex, but I'm not a big fan of that. I think men, we could be better than that. I'm not saying you guys. I've just been in those conversations with guys where they talk like total pigs, and they're just as annoying as some feminist who's trying to act like it's okay to be a slut. They're trying to make you accept that there's some douchey guy who talks really gross and perverse about women, and he doesn't really care about anything beyond that. I'm not a fan of that. I think that's ridiculous. And we could be better, for me. But people can do what they want. I don't care. I've certainly talked my level of shit in my life. But I don't like talking about women that way. At least, that's just me. Anyway, I have a little song for you guys, because if you know I Feel Pretty is from the song from West Side Story, one of my favorite musicals of all time, possibly my favorite. I love the movie, even though Natalie Wood and the guy who plays Tony, there's a dub. This has a $32 million budget, $16.2 million. This also opened above expectations. This was expected to be a bomb. The critics have hated this film, like 35% on Rotten Tomatoes. I'm not going to see this film. I was going to make a video on it, and talk about the reviews and Amy Schumer's career. I still might make that, about how she isn't funny and her politics and all that. I made a couple videos on Amy Schumer. That's one of my more popular videos back in the day. But this could probably get past its budget, but when you include marketing, I don't think this film's going to make any profit for the studio. And it does show that Amy Schumer is really losing her popularity as it's gone down. You're a sophisticated gentleman. I mean, I'm not sophisticated. No feminist criticism is ever I disagree. I would say that you're in an echo chamber, and you're thinking a little narrowly about all feminist criticism, and you're pigeonholing in all feminism in a blanket way. There is some valid criticism in feminist literature if you actually dig deep beyond the internet feminists. And don't get me wrong, I'm not a feminist guy, and I'm not a feminist, and I don't like feminism, but classic feminism has some valid points about equality. And I would even say some of the stuff Jordan Peterson says about men and women in the workplace is going back to a lot of traditional feminist arguments about how you're supposed to find a balance between men and women. So I think some of it, because I've met men that are exactly the stereotypes that some of the feminists talk about, and they don't have self-awareness about this. And it's a detriment to us who are conservative or libertarian, where we talk about, humanity and freedom of speech and not pigeonholing people in based off these things, and then some of us do it. I'm not saying we do it in here, but I've heard this stuff, and I don't like it. Third wave feminism mainly, yes. Even though I'm not a big fan of Susan B. Anthony going back to feminism even before, I'm not a fan of that. But current feminism the last 20 years, of course I'm not a fan of. But do I think that men are too visual and base things off looks more than they do personality with women? Yes. I've never met a guy in my life who doesn't do that. I've never met a guy, because men are more visual. I mean, it's been proven. And women, they get more aroused by stories or intimacy or being turned on. Men are very visual. But a lot of men in my life, just as anecdotal, have just judged women solely off looks and nothing else. And I think that is a negative way to view life, even though in general we like attractive people. This goes for men and women. I mean, this is true for all people. I'm not trying to say that one group of people do this, but my girlfriend's dealt with a lot of sexism. She's been harassed at every job she's worked at. Everywhere she's worked, men have said inappropriate things to her. They've touched her inappropriately. They've come up to her and been pervy. They've said very sexual things to her at work. They come up to her and say stuff like, open your mouth to see if I could fit it in. Stuff like that. And this is a story that my mother, my sister, every woman I know has had to deal with this stuff at where they work. where men have come up and, like, you know, gone behind them and tried to do thrusting moves. Or, like, my girlfriend at her one job, she had to wear an apron, and one guy would come untie her apron and mess with her, and they say very perverted things, and this is very common. And I think that's a valid thing that needs to be addressed about how a lot of men out there think it's okay to do that stuff, and it's not. And we can't support that kind of stuff. We can't have awful stuff. She said guys just come up and say the sickest stuff. If somebody said that stuff to me, I'd punch him in the mouth. Or if a woman came up to me and said perverted stuff. I mean, I mean, it's a pretty common thing, Frasier. I don't know how much the workplace you've been involved with, but I mean, I don't know if you've ever been to a bar. Every guy at the bar saying terrible things to the bartender. That's been my life experience. It's pretty. I mean, we like to ignore that men have flaws. We like to think sometimes that men are infallible and women are always the problem. But there's a lot of men out there that I hate. It's not like I just hate feminism. I hate a lot of men out there that I think are idiots and screwed up, and they create the feminists, the third wave feminists, because they act like a-holes, because they can't get laid, and they're insecure, and they're mean, and they treat women crappy at the workplace, and women who just want to work and be equal get treated crappy by these beta males, by these a-hole beta males that are terrible. And well, where I am is literally only women, so I can't comment. I mean, I'm talking about my experience in America and where I've lived. I'm not saying this is, you know, but then you think about how they treat women in the Middle East, and that culture. You know, there's a lot of stuff out there that I feel bad for. You can't just punch people. You will get in trouble. I had a gay boss that was relentless. No, it's true. You do get an assault charge today. You can't just fight. This isn't the 70s anymore. I've been sexually molested and harassed by women more than I see it happen to my girl. I mean, it's bad either way. It's bad either way for men or women. Of course, I agree. But if there's one thing that, you know, I do kind of agree with women criticizing, it is men doing that stuff. Because you have to think about women. They are, they're weaker. They're physically weaker than men. So they're intimidated by men when men do this stuff, and they're scared. And as other men, we need to help these women and let them know it's going to be okay. And we should get those guys out of the workplace, and we should get those guys. We should stand up for those women, because it's wrong, and you shouldn't treat people like that, men or women. It's wrong to do that, because jam don't shake like that gets punched in the mouth. And I know people hate when I say this stuff. You know, my channel got really big being kind of conservative, and I used to argue against a lot of these things. But the things I was arguing against was political things and legislation and what was happening on college campuses. I wasn't always arguing against that there's a lot of crappy men out there. That's why I hate the slut-shaming argument. The argument's always, you praise men who sleep with a lot of women, and then you slut-shame. No! I hate men that are like the women who sleep around. I hate male sluts just as much as anything. I think it's bad for society and this country. And I don't like it. And I don't like I don't like men who ruin marriage and ruin the sacred nature of it and being good to women and all that. That bothers me, for sure. I think there's a lot of things that we, as a society, we need to work on. It is getting better. If one guy shoots people with the crossbow, you don't ban wood. You go get that jerk. But then, like, go and suck those cheese chats. I mean, that's not always true, Sean. You know, that is what people say, but I don't. I mean, those are a certain type of women, you know? Not all women are that way. There's a lot of women out there that are conservative and agree with a lot of the things we agree, and they're not like that. And we can't pigeonhole all women into the feminism thing. A lot of women hate feminism as much as we do. And we have to work with them. You know, we all have to work together to try to bring back the family and values and life and all that stuff. And I believe in that stuff, and I want those things to work. And I feel bad for the women out there that aren't part of the feminist movement that get attacked by other women. And I support those women. I have a very good relationship, and I've had one for 3 years with my girlfriend, and she's put up with a lot of crap from men and women for her beliefs. And it's really unfortunate. It's really tough to watch. I do think marriage is outdated, but I believe in the family and being together. I don't think marriage in a traditional way, like going to get married at a church or rings, is outdated. But do I think a lifetime commitment with somebody and raising a family? Yeah, that's fine. When I'm saying marriage is outdated, I was referring to like the religious aspect of it, that you're getting married under God, or the woman is giving herself to you from her father. I don't want to get married in a traditional way. I don't like marriage in that way. Yes, I think marriage in its current form is outdated. But do I think that two people get together and they could commit their life to each other and have a successful life together and work together? Yes, I think that's a great thing. I just don't think you have to get married to define that. I don't think you need rings to define that relationship. I don't think that you need to have a ceremony that's outdated. I don't think you need to spend thousands of dollars for that stuff. I think that's all stupid. And my girlfriend and I have agreed to not have a marriage if we do that, to not have a wedding like that. Basically, we would just go get the piece of paper and that would be it. So I just mean like the dress and all that stuff's outdated to me. I don't think two people deciding they want to spend their lives together is outdated. I think that's a bond that men have with friends, and I think you can have that bond with a woman. Only one woman ruined marriage for me. My mom, what she left, my father. Marriage is a joke as long as divorce is so easy. Vows are a joke. I agree. That's why I think you should avoid those things. But I think if two people can have a pragmatic understanding with each other, that they can be committed to each other and try to be successful with each other and find benefit with each other, I think that's right. I'm very libertarian, so I don't like the titles to things, and I don't like the idea of husband and wife and all that. But I believe in people being together. I think I've seen it work out too many times to believe that it always works. It's just people get married too quick, or they settle. Or they just assume that they're never going to find happiness, and they're seeking some kind of perfection that doesn't exist. If you really want to find a marriage that works and make it work, you have to find somebody that helps evolve with you. You have to grow together and find benefits with each other and develop that and inspire each other. You can't just marry somebody that's a fantasy. You have to be very smart with your choice about it. It's stupid to go in looking for some kind of perfection. You need to have a similar goal and work together and find somebody that's on your wavelength with things. Don't get married, but if you get married, then get a prenup. I mean, I would always suggest people getting a prenuptial agreement. I agree. I think you should. You shouldn't get your stuff taken away. Be aware that it can happen, for sure. Canada likes to differentiate itself from America. I agree it's good advice. You should get a prenup. You should always seek legal action before you do anything. It's very important to have a lawyer. But that's just my opinion on it. I'm not saying that I'm right. That's just how I feel about these things. I think a lot of people get married to someone they don't... I hate to say the term love, because I think love's kind of a bullshit concept. But they get married to someone that they kind of settle with, or they think I need to get married. I fell into this trap when I was in my early 20s. I got engaged to a girl that I didn't like that much because I thought I was supposed to do that, get married and have kids. And luckily, I was able to get out of that. But now I've been with somebody for a few years that I really get along with, and our relationship's just gotten better, and I'm a lot more comfortable with us getting married. And there's a lot of trust between us, and we agree on a lot of things. And she works and has a job and makes good money. So we can work together. And we agree on things politically. We agree on things together, and that's really what matters, is that you have to have the same moral values. And I want to have children, and if you want to have children, I don't want to be a single dad or something like that. So it's trust. It's tough. I'm not going to pretend it's not tough. It's very tough to find someone to get married to and to make it work, and being in a relationship's hard itself. I'm not going to pretend it's some easy thing to do, but it's not for everyone. Some people should stay single or just date around, and some people are people who can be in a long-term relationship. It's not the same for everyone. Not everybody can wear the same clothes with these things. It's different for everyone. So I'm not trying to... yes, my parents are in a very strong marriage. My parents have been married for 33 years, and they've had a great marriage. And I think that's affected me a lot. I didn't come from a divorced household, and my parents' relationship worked out really well. So I think that affected me pretty well. So it is your perspective, that's for sure. I'm not pretending that I have all the answers. There is no definitive answer. I don't think love's a bullshit word just as a concept. I don't really think love exists. I don't think there's something that has you in a soulmate. I think you can love many people. I've loved women before this. I've loved other people. It's like having a friend. Like, I don't think love's necessarily this real palpable thing. I think it's just something we feel, like humor or anything. It's something that our brain's convincing us is real, but it's not really a real thing. It's just biology that you want to make babies with this person because you're connected to them, because you want to spread your seed or something like that. I don't think love's an actual or real thing. I think it's a very abstract, non-existent thing. But we feel things like love. We feel things that make us feel like we're in love, and sometimes that's enough. That's enough to get through life, is the illusion of something being real. But and this is a pretty common concept all in a lot of places in the world, that love's kind of, not really, but there's no such thing as it. But in America, we were sticking to the traditional ideas of marriage. But it did benefit this country. Yeah, love's just a word that describes a connection. I don't really think it means anything. People have different definitions for what love is, too. And that's also a factor that has to be considered. I think they feel like they love each other. Do I think that there's actually some bigger connection than that puts them together or something? No. I think it's just like dopamine or serotonin or anything else that makes you have feelings that is chemicals in your brain. I don't necessarily think it's this beautiful thing like God made you fall in love or the universe meant for you guys to be together. No, I don't think that. I think my parents like each other as friends and have gotten along and found a benefit in life. I'm not. I mean, do they love each other in a generic, general way? If you want to go there, sure, maybe. But I think science has pretty much confirmed that that's not a real thing. There's a lot of biological basis for this, on why we feel the things we do. Almost everything you feel or you think is more important than it is just your brain manipulating your feelings. It's just how you're wired as an animal, through evolution over the years, and how you're wired to feel. And we trick ourselves with our egos because we have consciousness as human beings to give it more meaning than it really has. But ultimately, you're just a sack of meat walking around wanting to bang other sacks of meat, and you give it. It's not cynicism, dude. It's science. I mean, I love life. I love life. I have tons of optimism, but it's science. This has been confirmed. I mean, you just have to do the research on it. I mean, Bathory is a scientist. She'll back me up on all this stuff. She's a scientist right now. This is just the fact of life that we've had with the information that we've been getting. I rang the bell, but YouTube does not. You need to click it twice. I hear that helps. Click it once and click it twice. Apparently, a lot of people aren't getting notified of my videos, and that's been going on across the board on YouTube. I have 8,300 subscribers, and I've had at least 500 people tell me they never get a notification for my videos. They never know I'm uploading. So that's a huge chunk of people. Yeah, Interstellar connects love. I asked because you and TFM have an interesting take on love and male-female relationship. Well, thank you for asking me that. I don't know much about it. Yeah, the love hormone. That's exactly what it is. Yes. From Mumpkey. What about Mumpkey? How did you get there from I'm confused. How did you sub for me from Mumpkey Jones? Is Mumpkey Jones subscribed to my channel? That would be awesome. We and him both agree on Diary of a Wimpy Kid. It's funny, when I made my Diary of a Wimpy Kid video, I had no idea that it was connected. I didn't know he made that video where I talked about Greg, the lead character, being like a little sociopath and how much I love him being an a-hole. I had not watched Mumpkey Jones' videos at that time. People thought I was homaging his stuff. And I had no idea. I really didn't. And then I went and watched, like, oh crap, this guy... That happens sometimes. Sometimes you have the same... you're thinking the same thing. You're on the same wavelength with somebody, and then you find out, like, oh crap, they think like I do. Geometry and chemistry are linked. What causes the geometry to exist the way it does? He still doesn't know. Never heard. Who doesn't know, Frasier? I don't understand. About Mumpkey, I don't understand. Am I missing something? Did Mumpkey Jones bring me up? I didn't know about Mumpkey Jones. I found his videos and I started watching them, and they're awesome. I'm a big fan. I wasn't aware of his stuff. Wait, he did? What? I had no idea. What the fuck? Wait, let me go watch that. I legit had no idea. That's awesome. That's freaking awesome. Thank you for letting me know. Frasier tried to send that to me and I had no idea. Oh my god. Is it this video? What the hell? How did he find my channel? That's surreal, man. 201,000. Hey, Monkey Jones, man, if you're aware, thank you. Let me see what he says. I had no idea. This is amazing. Wait, you took an ad out for me. Well, thanks, man. Thank you, Fraser. Man, you're a good dude, man. You're a really good dude. Because somebody on Twitter said I didn't know you were subscribed to Fraser. And I said, dude, I'm not subscribed to him. We're friends. I go, it's not like I just subbed to him as a guy watches. I consider Fraser a friend of mine. And a good dude. So I have nothing negative to... yeah, it's more so... I don't just subscribe to people because I like their content. I like the personalities, and I thought Fraser had a great personality. And I still do.
Yo, this is part 2 of my breakdown of the horrible... Does this culminate in Act 3? I tell the story of how this film almost got me expelled from school. Hey everybody, if you like my videos and want to help support the show, go check out my Patreon and you can get your name here on the list of beautiful, sexy, sexy patrons. Also, did you know you can get me to add your messages to the end of...
Am I at the right place in the video? It's at the 11:50 mark. Okay, thank you.
These videos through my Fiverr account. Speaking of which, hey everybody, Fraser Danger here. Do me a favor and check out Please Rewind for movie reviews, commentary, and a weekly box office review. JonTron subs to him, so should you. And I have a link to that channel in the description.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, it's a good point you brought up with the JonTron thing, because that is very true. Let's see. Where's the link to... Check out Fraser Danger here. Which is so funny, because you know it's not Fraser Danger. It would be my channel, I'm assuming. Let's click that. Oh my god! Server error! It's that monkey! That's awesome. I had no idea, Fraser. I feel so crappy I didn't know that. I would have thanked you outside of the box office addict. I feel... That's so weird to hear someone talk about my channel in a video. I really hope that this works, because it seems to be screwed up. I'm trying to click on this thing. There we go. Does this go to play? Oh my god, it does. Wow. I was wondering where I got this sub boost, because I got up today and I had like 30 new subs, and I was like, where the hell did that sub boost come from? But now it's explained. Now I understand. Wow. It's crazy. Can you help me get Please Rewind on World Class Bullshit? Is JonTron any good? I mean, I like JonTron. JonTron is subbed to my channel. That is the craziest thing. When I found that out, JonTron subbed to me like a year ago. I had the same reaction like that first time I was mentioned on the Please Rewind podcast. Yeah, JonTron has subbed to me back when I was doing skeptic content, anti-SJW content, so I think he was a fan of that. Which is pretty cool. He thinks I'm you. Well, that's hilarious. But hey, that's great, man. Yeah, because I got up today and I was like, why is there 30-something new subs added? Because I went to bed last night and I had like 8,260, and then I got up today and I was over 8,300. I guess that's 40, but I was like, how the hell did I add so many subs? But that explains it, that it was Monkey Jones. Awesome. Absolutely awesome. Well, hopefully that blows the channel up a little bit more. Hopefully that'll help, and thank you to Fraser, and thank you to Mumkey for that. Anyway, let me do my little thing for you guys here, because I'm in a good mood now. Holy crap. Anyway, this is the lyrics to I Feel Pretty. And I'm going to do a little bit of a version for you, and I know you guys hate when I sing. And it's going to be a duet with Amy Schumer. Amy Schumer will be doing the female Maria parts, and I will be doing background vocals with her. Anyway, you guys ready? Are you ready for this epicness? Oh, he's going to be on Cool Cat. Great. Now the pressure's on. Time to be interesting and creative. Well, I'm going to fail on that. I would like to talk to world-class bullshitters. Diversity in comics. I know Captain Cummings, and we were supposed to do a live stream together. It just never worked out. But I have... Captain Cummings and me do talk and DM, so I could probably get on Diversity in Comics at some point. Yeah, you should. You should. You may over 10K subs at the end of the year. Oh, I'm going to be over 10K subs before the end of the year. Not by the end of the year. I'm going to have 10,000 subs by the end of the summer. The videos that I have planned out are going to put me over. I've been adding at least 30 subs a day, and with the videos I got planned for the summer, it's not even going to be the end of the year. It's going to be July or August. I'll have 10,000 subs. If it takes the end of the year, that would make no sense. With the pacing I've got, because I've been adding subs consistently. I mean, it wasn't that long ago I was at 4,000, and we're talking like December, November, I had like 4,500 subs. I've doubled that, and I assume I'm going to be over 10,000 before the end of the summer. Anyway, Amy Schumer, I feel pretty. I feel pretty, oh so pretty. I feel pretty and shitty and bright, and I pity any girl who is at me tonight.
La 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 la.
I feel charming, oh so charming. It's alarming how charming I feel, and so pretty that I hardly can believe I'm real, even after your 9th meal. See that pretty girl in that mirror there, Miss Piggy Ware. Who's that attractive girl be? Who can that attractive girl be? Such a pretty face, such a pretty dress, such a pretty smile, such a pretty me. I feel stunning, you're not stunning, and entrancing, you're not entrancing. Feel like running and dancing for joy, for I'm loved by a pretty, wonderful boy, and that boy is her sex toy. Have you met my good friend Amy? The unfunniest girl on the block. You know her the minute you see her. She's the one who's got her mouth filled with cock. She thinks that she's funny. She thinks that her movies will do well. She thinks that we all love her, but she really looks like she smells. Fa la 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 la. There you go, guys. That's a treat for you motherfuckers. That's the high quality entertainment that Monkey Jones is telling you to sub to. Thank you. Thank you very much. My falsetto. I actually could sing as a... Is it just me? Oh, anger management's great. It's absolutely great. It's terrific. Pretty and shitty and bright. I'm watching the view count go down. It's just slowly going down. They're like, oh god, no. Don't sing anymore, Pat. Don't. I thought that would be funny. I'm kind of working on that for a video. It's going to be edited, but it'll be a lot more well put together. Okay, anyway, I feel pretty 16. Shower singing is less cringe. But anyway, I feel pretty's doing really well, and where else are we at too? Let's see, Rampage, starring The Rock, $21 million at the box office. It's made $66.6 million so far, with a $120 million budget. This film looked like it was going to drop really hard going into the weekend. And it did not, actually. I mean, it did have a decent enough drop, but it looked like it was going to drop like over 50%. You're tearing me apart, Pat! I, for one, nearly unsubbed. Thank you, Craig. That's exactly what I want. That's what I want to happen. $120 million budget. $66 million domestic. Once again, people, if you went and looked at the reports on Thursday and Friday, everybody was saying this film was going to bomb, and it was going to... lose its audience, and it wasn't hold on. And just like last weekend, it surprised with 21 million, so it should be able to break 100 million. And considering the kind of film it is, even with Infinity War coming out, it's at 283 million worldwide, so it should be able to break 300 million. This could even reach 400 million. This is from Brad Payton, who did Journey 2 and San Andreas, which were both successful films. So once again, he's having another successful film. I don't know what the break-even point on this film is. They spent a lot on marketing and distribution, but overall... it's not a disaster, and for a video game movie, and it's doing better than Tomb Raider, which is very important to note here. I found your channel from Mumpkeys. Hey, awesome, man. Thank you. Thank you for joining the channel. I hope you like movie reviews and live streams and analysis and commentary and all that stuff. You're lucky I'm your sidekick, Pat, or else. Oh, I know, Bathory. Yes, you sing horrible. We forgive you. Not please hear me sing. We just don't expect Sinatra. I personally thought it was funny. I actually can sing, but I sing funny for you guys on the thing. I was actually a pretty good singer. But, you know, whatever. But thank you for I love the anal. I love the analysis. The analogous. I love words that start with anal. Yeah, Bathory, the great sidekick. Anal's for degenerates. You ridiculous people, you. The Rock is getting tedious. People have been saying that about The Rock for like years now. I don't think the Tomb Raider bombed. I don't know if it bombed, but it didn't make a lot of money. It definitely bombed domestically. So I could definitely see that. All right, let's go back to Fraser Danger's video for a little bit, and then we'll get back to the #1 movie.
It can't be where the future is because they're where censorship is. Censorship is never the future. Censorship is a conservative monologue. Censorship is something that is never helpful. Never helpful. And you try to produce content for these people. You try to do things that make people happy. You try to make it makes people laugh. What is the type of content that Mr. Media could produce and soundboard phone calls have in common? What are those two things? Some of the most popular content on YouTube, among the people who are hardcore, not your makeup tutorial bullshit. What's the most popular? What do those two things have in common? People are fucking with people. Yeah, guess what? Comedy is it's human suffering. Human suffering is suffering in general. That's all it's ever been. That's what people find funny. You know why? Because people can relate to that. People can relate to getting fucked up, and they laugh at it.
No, the background music's hilarious on that video. The background music is just making me laugh so hard. That's some funny shit, man. All right, let's get to the #1 movie of the week, A Quiet Place. Starring John Krasinski and Emily Blunt, his wife, directed by him. This film was not #1 last weekend. It fell behind Rampage, but it still had a good second weekend. This third weekend is terrific. 33% drop, $22 million. This is the third weekend it's made over $20 million at the box office. This film has a $17 million budget. It's made $132 million domestically. So that puts its worldwide total at $207 million, $74 million foreign. So even with the marketing and distribution and all that, this film is not only broke even, it's made a massive profit at this point, and it's going to continue to make a profit. This film will make $150 million domestic, if not reach $180 to $200 million domestic. This could pass Get Out very easily, especially where it's tracking right now. This could definitely break $300 million worldwide. This puts John Krasinski in the big time, not only as a movie star, but as a filmmaker, because he never really broke out from being Jim on The Office. He has the Jack Ryan show coming out soon on Amazon. This is Emily Blunt, although she's kind of become a movie star the last few years in general, but that $50 million opening weekend was not front-loaded. The film has been holding very well. Produced by Michael Bay. This is probably the best thing he's had his name attached to in a long time. I've been planning to get a review out for this film. I just haven't got around to it. And I apologize for that, but there will be a review for this movie very soon. I have seen it, and I will do a review of it. But 132 million, 207 million. Last weekend, I believe it was, 32? So we have 50, 32, 22. Great holds. If it keeps up this traction, it'll be able to make easily 180 million. And with the budget like that, this film's going to have big profits. So A Quiet Place, once again, is not going quietly into the night. It is making a lot of noise, and it is a huge success. I think bigger than anyone thought it was going to be. I thought the film would do well, especially after the reviews came out, but I never thought it was going to become like a blockbuster. But that's just the thing right now. Many these low-budget horror films like Split, they'll break out or Get Out, and they'll really blow up. Human Suffering is Pat starting a new stream, and no one gets notified because of the glitchy YouTube system. 17 million is a pretty low budget for a film that's making $130 million. I mean, typically a film that makes money like that has like a $30-40 million budget. A 17, I mean, that's not a super low budget for a horror movie like that, but it's a pretty low budget for a film that's ostensibly a blockbuster at this point. I don't think $17 million is like a major motion picture budget in today's world. I think maybe it was a few years ago, but I mean, TV shows cost more than that. Like Game of Thrones has episodes that cost like $15 million. I don't think 17 million is that big of a budget. That's under 20 million. That's a pretty modest budget, all things considered, especially when you consider that they had to pay them. You know, I'm sure John Krasinski and Emily Blunt got decent pay out of it, and I mean, it's not a really tiny budget, but it's not a big budget either. I wouldn't say that's a big Hollywood studio budget. But it depends. I guess it depends on perspective. This guy's video will go viral, and his words will be the spark that lights the candle, that lights the torch, that lights the barbecue of the resistance. It's amazing. Devil Wears Prada. Yeah, I hate Devil Wears Prada. Have you reviewed The Founder? No, I have not. I really like Emily Blunt. I think Emily Blunt's great in everything I've seen her in, really. I think she should have been Black Widow instead of Scarlett Johansson. I think they spent a good amount on special effects. I think that's what it was, too. I think they spent a lot of money on the monster and creature effects and sound mixing and all that, for sure. I think is where a lot of the money went. Pat and EVS team up would break the internet. It would. The internet would be broken, just like my heart. My terrible heart. So, people, I was having a discussion with a friend of mine recently, and we were talking about what makes movies so powerful. What can we get over our cynicism? Is sentimentality wrong? Why do people always hate the sentimental in film? Why do people hate the emotions? Why do people hate movies that are tearjerkers sometimes? And I'm a fan of the genre. I think if you could pull off sentimentality like John Hughes does, or the best of Spielberg, or even going back, I would say Kurosawa had a lot of sentimentality in his films, and people like to ignore that. They pigeonhole him into this art house category that I would say he wasn't totally part of. I was thinking about a movie, and this is going to be something I'm going to talk about a little bit more on this channel as we go on, as I'm going to talk about movies at the end of the episode and talk about movies more. Hey, I'm good, dude. Thank you for asking. You missed a long show. I don't know if it'll save Paramount, but it's certainly a good sign. So I want to talk about that sentimentality is not wrong, and that if a director can pull this off, like a Frank Capra, that those make movies is about as emotional and wonderful as they can be. It's what cinema is. And when storytelling comes first, instead of your high concept or special effects or so on. Like for me, I think Jurassic Park puts the storytelling first, and then the special effects and spectacle are second to the storytelling. And that's why that film works so well, just also with the terrific direction, shot choices, and all that. She is a good actress. Now, a movie that I love, Ron is a tearjerker. That's the thing. A lot of films, people, they just, they think very generically about this idea that if a movie makes you cry, that it's manipulative. Well, all movies are manipulative. Movies that make you think about the world philosophically and that are esoteric, they're all manipulative. That's part of the process. Of filmmaking in general is a manipulative process. It's a criticism of Spielberg I hate. He makes manipulative films. They're all manipulative. That's how movies are made. If you never made a movie, if you're scared during a movie, you're being manipulated. If you're laughing during a movie, you're being manipulated. Blazing Saddles is manipulative. It's like, that's movies 101. He did nitpick that movie a lot. It was weird, because he doesn't always nitpick like that. But one of my favorite films, and it's been called the Notebook for Men. I love Nick Offerman. I saw him live, actually, one time. He's hilarious. I think Nick Offerman's also a terrific actor. It's been called The Notebook for Guys, is Field of Dreams, which is a very famous movie. You should all know it. It came out in 1989, had a budget of $15 million. And it became a quiet sleeper hit, starring Kevin Costner, who at the time was a big movie star for No Way Out, Bull Durham, a couple other movies. But this film was, for me, I think, solidified him as a movie star before his career went down in the 90s. So I think everyone knows the premise. A guy, Ray, and his wife want to leave the big city. They want to leave the hustle and just go live a simple life. And they go start a corn farm. They have corn. And Ray's out there one day, and he hears a whisper in his head. He hears a voice that say, "If you build it, he will come." Which does sound like a porno premise. If you build it, I will come. But he says, if you build it, he will come. Now, Ray doesn't know what this means. He's like, what does that mean? If I build it, he will come. Well, then he starts to find out he has a vision of building a baseball field in the middle of this cornfield. So he builds this giant baseball field in the middle of his cornfield, and everyone's telling him he's crazy because he's about to lose his house. He's about to go bankrupt, and his brother-in-law, which is played by Poindexter from Revenge of the Nerds, and also the guy who was on 30-something, he's telling him, like, hey, man, listen, you can sell this land and make a lot of money. I would disagree that Spielberg's a bad art house director. I'd say Empire of the Sun's a great art house film. I would say that Duel you could consider an art house film. I think Close Encounters is his art film, and I think very influenced by Truffaut. I think Schindler's List is a terrific movie, even though it is kind of a blockbuster Schindler's List. But I get what you mean. But I think he has a balance he found into some of his films. Not all of them, that's for sure. So Ray builds the baseball field, and everyone's telling him, you're crazy. You're going to lose your house. You're going to lose everything. You have a kid. What is wrong with you? What's wrong with you, Ray? So he doesn't know what this means. Well, who shows up eventually is Shoeless Joe Jackson, played by Ray Liotta, who was on an infamous baseball team, right, where they threw the World Series. Now, Shoeless Joe always claimed that he played as good as he possibly could, and this has been a controversy for a long time. So, all of these baseball players start to show up on the baseball field. No, they're not aliens. They start to show up on the baseball field, and not everybody can see them. Only Ray can see them at first because they don't believe. And Ray had a very bad relationship with his father. So then Ray assumes, oh, if I build it, he will come, and that must be Shoeless Joe Jackson. That's who came. And they're all there playing baseball, and they start to bring other teams. Well, then he is told to go seek out an author who's based off J.D. Salinger, played by James Earl Jones. So he goes to find this man, and then Burt Lancaster comes to the picture, and they gave up baseball. Now, the film's trying to strip baseball down to his pure essence. It's supposed to be. I think it was his brother-in-law, though. I don't think his brother was his brother. It was his brother-in-law, so that's why they don't look alike. They weren't aliens. They're not aliens in Field of Dreams. I don't know where you're getting that from. That's not true at all. That's never implied in the movie that they're aliens. So these baseball players are coming out like ghosts, basically. And I bet most YouTubers around for a while would love Field of Dreams. So other people start seeing it, his wife and all that, and he finds James Earl Jones' character, who's an author who's been stuck in his house for years, and he brings him to the field. And it tries to strip baseball down to its pure essence. It tries to say that baseball reminds us of what America could be, what it used to be, when things were more simple and life mattered more. Now, people could say the NBA's taken over what baseball was for a lot of people, the spirit of the game and sports. But it's more than that. People misinterpret how deep the message to Field of Dreams is. They want to pretend that it's just a baseball movie, that it's just about loving baseball movies. Oh, the sting out to the credits. They think it's a movie that's just trying to say baseball when thing was better. Baseball's the spiritual game. But that's not what it is. The movie's about so much more than that. It is like a Frank Capra film that Jimmy Stewart would have been in, as Roger Ebert said in his review. And Gene Siskel didn't like this film, and I disagree with his criticism on it. Bull Durham felt real. Field of Dreams really isn't about baseball as much as people like to make it out to be. And people go to that field every year. They like to say that the film's just about the love of baseball. And there's a lot of baseball speak in it. There's a lot of deep cuts that you have to know baseball to get. But really, it's about living in the moment and what life matters. You know the song, Heaven is a Place on Earth, right? What I love about that song is that song isn't saying, oh, I just love you, this is a moment. It's almost an atheist humanist message. And Heaven is a Place on Earth is saying that we don't need heaven. We don't need an afterlife. Right now, in the moment, this could be heaven. The life that we're living, the experience that we're having can be heaven. Earth can be heaven. You don't need the idea of God and an afterlife to be happy. You can be your own God. You can define your own fate, and you can live in that now. Now, at the end of the movie, after everyone finally sees that Ray, that they see all the baseball players, including his cynical brother-in-law. And the movie has a great mix of pragmatism with fantasy, because Ray decides he's going to charge people $20 to come to this baseball field and look, which I love that. I think that's really funny, mixing it with the pragmatic nature of, hey, I can charge people and save my farm, but also I can buy into this, which is absolutely terrific. That's really funny. I don't agree that Earth is hell. I think it's a matter of perception. And where you live, too. You could get screwed geographically. So, Pat's dream's the best part, man. Yeah, I guess that was my dream coming true. So, the plot twist of the movie, after everyone starts to show up, well, the movie ends with everyone showing up to this baseball field. Ray is there with Joe Jackson, and Joe says to him, if you build it, he will come. And then he walks away, and it turns out his father, who he had only known as an old, broken man who had given up and who hated him, and they had a bad relationship. It's cool if you believe in God, but I don't. I don't believe in God personally. I don't think God exists, but that's fine if you do. It's a debated topic, and there's no right or wrong answer. We don't know. I'll admit that I don't know. But I've accepted that there's probably not a God in afterlife, and I think that makes life a lot easier. When I used to believe in God, I actually was much more stressed out about life and eternity and thinking about it. I've accepted the reality of things a lot more. Thank you. Thank you for liking that premise. So at the end of the film, Ray finds out that if you build it, he will come's not about shoeless Joe Jackson. It's about his father, who is there now as a younger man. And he's like, God, I haven't seen my dad. The only time I saw him, he was broken and ruined. What is this? And his dad's there as a young, youthful, great-looking guy. He's got his life ahead of him. And he goes up to him and he asks Ray, he goes, is this heaven? Ray goes, no, it's Iowa, which is a great line. And Ray's really, so he introduces his kid to him. He introduces the daughter, the granddaughter, and the wife's there. And then they go sit down at the porch. And Ray goes up to his father, Kevin Costner, in a wonderful performance, says, is heaven real? Does it exist? Is there a heaven? And he goes, oh yeah. It's the place where all your dreams come true. Then the James Horner score swells up, the wonderful music. And Kevin Costner's character looks at his family and looks at everything around him, and he says one of my favorite lines in movie history. He says, maybe this is heaven. And that's the point. Maybe this is heaven. Being there on that farm, with his wife and his child in that moment and living that life, being there with his father, that's heaven. That's frickin' heaven. He doesn't need more than that. Heaven is a place on earth. Right? And then his dad and him shake hands and his dad's about to leave. And he goes, hey, Dad, you want to have a catch? And his dad goes, I sure'd like that. And this is what the movie's getting to. It all builds up to this last scene. This is what the whole movie's about, is this ending. Getting that moment. Just getting some time spent with him and his father, this man that he wanted more than anything. Just playing catch like a little boy with his dad. And we're a little kid in that moment. And the music gets so great at this scene. And he throws the ball to his dad catches it. And he throws it back to Kevin Costner, Ray. And he grabs the ball and he holds it in his hand for a few seconds and looks at it. And he kind of stares at it. And that physical item, that ball, that baseball he's holding, is as important as anything in the universe. It means as much as anything. This is as profound as anything that could be abstract or beautiful. That baseball is everything. Getting that ball in his hand from his father is incredible. And this is what makes it such a beautiful, profound movie, and this is why it's such a great ending. Is that it's about that last moment. It's terrific. It's just spend some time with me. Just give me a little bit. Just let me have this moment. Just let this moment be everything, because it can be everything. And he just plays catch with his dad. The wife turns the lights on. The shot goes to a wide shot. And everybody starts pulling in the cars. And it's so amazing to me. And I think that's sentimentality done right. Because it's not a film that's just balancing the spirit of baseball and what America used to be, or the idea of America in some way, and how things are more simple and how we've lost certain things. And it's not just a high concept fantasy movie. It's not just a classic father and son story, or a family, about a family trying to make it in middle America. And the film is a little janky at first, but it builds momentum. It's about getting to live in the moment that you can with the person you love the most, and getting to have something that you wanted more than anything. And just playing catch with your dad is heaven, is everything that you could ever want. It's your dreams coming true. And that's great. It's great. It's one of my favorite endings ever. Yeah, the catch. He gets the ball and he holds it in his hand. It's beautiful. I don't know how people could hate that ending. I've heard some people say it's cheesy bad. I totally disagree. That's terrific storytelling. That's terrific subtext. That's terrific. The way it's framed, the way the music comes in. The ending's absolutely perfect. It's a perfect ending. And it's all about just getting to spend that little moment with somebody, and that's what it's all about. And that is the spirit of not just baseball and relationships, but the spirit of life. That we just get a little bit of a moment. We get to spend some time with somebody, and in that moment we matter, and we want to matter, and we want everything to be important, and we want to get what we want. And sometimes a dream coming true is just getting to play a game of catch with your father. I don't think it's cheesy. I disagree. I think it's cheesy if you're cynical and you don't if you don't like that kind of storytelling. Then the ending to It's a Wonderful Life is cheesy. I don't agree. I think people overuse cheesy and sentimental in the wrong ways. I think that's a terrific ending. I think it's the logical ending. I think it's poetic. I think it's like the ending of a great novel. And I think it's the subtext of it about heaven and all that is what the movie's all about. It's about living in the moment. It's not about taking your life for granted and hoping too much. It's that those little experiences could be perfect. That's just not cheap sentimentality or cheesy filmmaking. That's traditional classic storytelling, Hollywood storytelling. And the acting is so nuanced and great by Kevin Costner, and the way it's all put together, it overcomes any of the mechanics, the aesthetic mechanics that it would have in any kind of a lot of other films. It overcomes that. Just like It's a Wonderful Life overcomes that, or Back to the Future overcomes that, or any great film that overcomes that. And this is the strength of filmmaking and the power of movies, is that you can have a crazy high concept like that. Hey, Dad, want to have play? It's Hey, Dad, want to have a catch? No, that's what the whole movie's about, though. How's that cheesy? That's what it's all about. It's about getting that moment. This Dad, that's awesome. That's a great line. That's one of the most quoted great lines in movies. Hey, Dad, want to have catch? And everybody who watched that movie fell in love with that, and it's a great father and son. So I wanted to hug my dad after I watched that scene. And how Kevin Costner says that line's beautiful. I don't find anything about that. I find it great. I would say that's great writing and a great choice. But, we can have a different opinion on that. That's been debated about Field of Dreams for years, but I disagree. I think that's a terrific line and a terrific moment. I think it's one of the great moments of a movie from the 80s. So I want to point out that sentimentality doesn't have to be a negative thing if it's pulled off right. Because that's a high-concept movie. A guy builds a baseball field and ghost baseball players show up in the middle of this cornfield and all that stuff. But really what it's about is something so much more universal and beautiful and human, and a humanist message. And sorry, Pat, but the weight of the world made me a cynic. I mean, it's okay to not like stuff like that. It's fine. I'm just not that way. I'm not that way, and I don't find that movie to have that issue. I think that's one of the great endings of movies. But it's beautiful, and I think that movie's a great example. I say Jerry Maguire has that too when he goes to the house at the end of the movie and talks to her, which should be the cheesiest, most cliche Hollywood movie ever. But that moment that Tom Cruise says to her, because Jerry Maguire's a shell of a person. He can't find humanity, and it really plays to Tom Cruise's weaknesses as an actor, some of his limitations. And he's a guy that's trying to feel and be emotional and get out of the cynical nature he has as a sports agent. And he says that line. He says to her, "We live in a cynical world, a cynical world." And that's him saying, "I'm cynical. I live in a cynical world." But he goes, "I love you. You complete me." Right? And it should be the cheesiest thing, but it's Jerry trying to feel. Tom Cruise is trying to get those tears out. He's trying to do those things, and it's so great because it's that guy trying his best to not be the cynical shell of a person he became. He has feelings. He has emotions. He does care about this thing. And he wants it to mean something, and he's trying so hard. And that moment's so perfect. It's almost a subversion of the classic Hollywood tropes, because Cameron Crowe's such a great filmmaker who also does sentimentality so well. And him saying, "You complete me," as this is the first time I've ever felt like I'm something more than this shell that I do feel complete. I just can't express it, so I'm going to be as cheesy and lame as possible to say this because I don't know how to talk. And it's beautiful. So I love that, and I love the ending of Field of Dreams, and I love the ending of Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, and movies like that. And I think that I was watching the ending to Field of Dreams, I rewatched the movie a few days ago, and that really hit me. That line, "Maybe this is heaven." Maybe right now the world we could live in, maybe what we do on Earth, maybe the people we could be with could be heaven. In a metaphorical way, the analogy of it. I agree that the stuff with Tidwell is great, but it's more of the movie's about multiple things, though. It's about a sports agent and the ins and outs of that. It's about this relationship with Tidwell. It's about this. It's a rom-com. Jerry Maguire is such a rich movie about life. Every scene's filled with so much dense writing and information. There's literally like 12 things going on in every scene of Jerry Maguire. You're getting a load of information and emotion at the same time. That movie's dense with stuff. And it's one of the most underrated scripts of the last 20 years. It's a terrific piece of writing. My favorite Cameron Crowe film is Almost Famous, but I think his best script overall is Jerry Maguire. See, now, Requiem for a Dream, that's an ending I would call cheesy and over the top and poorly done. When I first saw that film, I liked the ending. Now I watch that film and I laugh that everybody's in the fetal position and it's so over the top and everything about it. See, that's a movie I would say has a very cheesy, over the top, stupid ending. And it's funny because I used to really like Requiem for a Dream, but now I would say, God, this is like the most... This is, somebody said, I can't remember, they said it's the reefer madness of heroin. It's just so completely over the top. Well, I'm glad you came here for Mumkey, man. Thank you for coming to the channel. I appreciate that. I really do. Thank you for joining us here, even though we're at the end of the stream. But just wanted to bring that up. I like that movie. I like that ending, and I think it means a lot. And I think that there's an art form to that kind of writing and storytelling, just like there is to something that's nihilistic, and I think that we need that balance. I don't think that one should dominate the other, and I think that's really important to cinema. Anyway, we're coming up on the 2-hour mark here, which is pretty ridiculous. Yeah, the ending to Requiem for a Dream I think is just so ridiculous, but that's just me. All right. So, God, this is so crazy. I hope this was a good box office Addict for you guys. I hope it wasn't like too, I don't know, I think it was a little all over the place. I know we had some of Fraser's video, and I know that we had a lot of stuff happen, and I ended on this like sentimental note. Kind of like when I talked about Mad Men that one time. But this is Cult Film Videos channel. The Flat Ass Theory. Spider-Man meets Disney World. Spider-Boy meets Disney World. The Jewish Answer. Fisking Mouthy Buddha. But he makes very good videos. I will be appearing on this channel doing stuff, so please subscribe to Cult Film Video. Please subscribe to Fraser Danger, who is awesome in this video, which we're not going to be able to finish here, but, you know, I gave you guys a little sample. I think he makes pretty fun content. And I appreciate everybody who tuned in. I appreciate the people that came over from Mumkey Jones's channel. That means a lot to me. And that's great. And I'll play you guys out the outro music, which is Sharkfoot Carnival. But if you have come to Box Office Addict, if you've listened to this, you're probably a box office addict yourself. And I'm not here to help you with your addictions. I'm here to encourage them, damn it. And that's exactly what I want to do. So please join us again next Sunday for the 41st episode. And this is the 40th episode of Box Office Addict, which is amazing. 40 weeks. We haven't missed one Sunday, people. 40 frickin' weeks. Next weekend, though, we got Infinity War coming out. So that's going to be a huge episode. And I don't know when the podcast is coming out. Whenever Blood Money and me can work this out. The merchandise isn't done, isn't out there yet. I'll put a link in for merchandise. I don't have all my merchandise coming out yet. Sorry. I'm sorry about Ben Shapiro not being here on this episode. Okay, folks? All right? Ben Shapiro, folks? Okay? Blue Apron? My wife's a doctor. She's a doctor. Okay, gang? It's ridiculous. And the idea that you think that I don't do the Ben Shapiro voice just because I'm tired of it's really ridiculous. I just forget about it sometimes, okay? Okay, folks? I'm not gay. I love when Fraser Danger puts lying, jokey comments in there. That's really great. Oh, another example, bring up the sentimental thing. E.T. I was rewatching E.T. You know, it's become such an iconic scene. It's such a cliche now when Elliot's bike goes up into the moon. And if you watch that movie, though, on its own, that scene where the bike goes off with Elliot and he goes up into the moon and everything and then goes, aha! That's an amazing moment. It's one of the great moments in movies. It really is. Thank you for the $2, Fraser. Thank you for everyone who tuned in. I'll play the music out for you guys. Okay? Okay, people? All right? Okay? Ben Shapiro here. Great. Blue Apron. Get your mattresses, folks. There was no comment of the week. There wasn't really anything negative to talk about. One guy left some comment about... I put up on Twitter, it was funny. He goes, it's funny that you made a 30-minute video and the film has under 2,000 views. And I go, I guess that's funny? I guess it's funny to upload content if you don't break 2,000 hits on every video. But I'm like, okay, what about when I make a 40-minute video that gets 250,000 hits? Because that's happened more than once. I don't know. That was going to be the comment of the week, but it just felt too petty. And everything else was not worth discussing, so... Really. But thank you for everyone. I love you guys listening, and I'll see you guys next Sunday when we talk about Infinity War. Yeah, Elliot's laugh is a little cringe to hear, but that moment, yeah, E.T. taking the bike and then them flying and the moon, that's a great shot. The silhouette of the little boy in the moon. I mean, it's the Wizard of Oz. It's the magic of movies, man. It's terrific, really good, and I think people kind of they skew E.T. They kind of get in their heads that it's not as good as it is, and then you rewatch, you're like, man, this is really good. This is really good. Okay, bye, folks. All right, and this is Carnival by Sharkfoot, which is the official theme of Box Office Addict. And I'll see you guys. I'll see you guys later. Oh crap! I don't have the audio on. Dummy. Oh, too loud. Sorry. Wait, I was just thinking about that dream coming true thing. We started with my dream about Red Letter Media and Fred Savage. So one day I'll be sitting at a McDonald's with the Red Letter Media crew and Fred Savage, and I'll be like, maybe this is heaven. And then I'll be throwing McDoubles with them. It'll be great. And Fred Savage will be narrating it like the Wonder Years. And I knew in that moment things were never going to be the same again.